By a show of fingers, who would say that Joe Biden is a threat to democracy? A threat to democracy. 3 of you. Stacey, how is he a threat to democracy?
I don't believe that we're having any kind of honesty in I just like the election in a whole. I just feel like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. The way I feel. I don't know. I don't trust Biden at all.
Okay, so hold on a second, Stacey. There's a difference between not trusting him and having him be a threat to democracy. How is he a threat to democracy?
I just feel like everything would be so one-sided that we wouldn't have an option to vote for who we want to vote for. In a sense that, like, I don't know how to describe it. I'm sorry, I'm not very good at that.
All right, think about it for a second. If you think of it, tell me, raise your finger. I'll call on you. Heidi, you said that he's a threat to democracy?
Yeah, I think well, what I really think of him, you don't want to know.
No,
Um,
I want to know specifically, do you think he's a threat to democracy? And if so, why?
I think he's a threat to our country, period. I can't, I'm like Stacey, it's hard to explain. I don't think he knows his left hand from his right hand, and it puts us in jeopardy.
Okay, got it. By a show of fingers, who would say Donald Trump is a threat to American democracy? Just Mary Beth. That's all right. And how so, Mary Beth?
Well, I think, democracy is supposed to be, a two-way street type of thing. And I think with Trump, if you don't agree with him, he fires you. How many people did he fire his first year in office? I mean, you have to agree with them or you get axed. So he has a lot of yes people around him. And I think he's so arrogant and, he thinks he's the king. He's like a little Napoleon. So no, I think it is a threat to our democracy because people are afraid to tell them the truth. They're all yes men.
Okay. By a show of fingers, who would say that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist? Mary Beth, you would? So one of you. Okay. So President Biden has given speeches, including here in Pennsylvania, claiming that Donald Trump is a threat to American democracy. By a show of fingers, who thinks that that's an exaggeration? So 6 of you do, okay? And last year, former President Trump made the following remarks at a conference of conservatives. He said, quote, "I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution," unquote. By a show of fingers, who's concerned that Trump announced that he is running a campaign of retribution? Mary Beth. Anybody else concerned about that?
Sorry.
Okay. So I just, Mary Beth, I'll set you aside for a moment because you told me how you feel about Trump. Susan, when you hear that comment from Trump about running a campaign of retribution, I am your retribution, what goes through your mind?
I don't know.
Meaning what? You must have some reaction to that.
That he's trying to get even with everything.
Okay. And how do you feel about the idea that a second term would be getting even with people who wronged him? Are you comfortable with it? Not comfortable with it?
It depends upon what the approach would be.
Okay. Knowing what you know about Trump, having watched him for 4 years, do you think the approach would be one you're comfortable with?
Probably not.
Okay. Who has a different point of view on this? He's talking about, I am your retribution. Does anybody like the fact that he says that? You're happy he's going to go after his enemies?
Mhm.
Okay, so Heidi, you like the fact that he's making that point.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, why?
I just think he has a backbone and he's not afraid to go after our enemies for the good of our country.
Okay.
And I just trust his decision making when it comes to stuff like that. He's on the ball. He's
Okay.
not falling upstairs and falling downstairs and bumbling, and I just 100% support him in every way.
By a show of fingers, who would say that Joe Biden is a threat to American democracy? Who would say that Joe Biden is a threat to American democracy? 2 of you. Sarah, how's he a threat to America? 3. What way is Biden a threat to American democracy?
I personally feel like he's a senile little puppet and he's just going to say what he's being told to say. And it seems like that's the way that the country, he has us headed. Like, yeah, he's just nods. Yes, yep, whatever you want. Yep.
Okay, got it. So that's the way he's a threat, is that basically you call him senile and that he's
Yeah, he's a puppet. Yes.
okay, got it. Lisa?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Again, with the, he just says what needs to be said.
Okay, got it. Daisy, the same thing? Okay. By a show of fingers, who would say that Donald Trump is a threat to American democracy? Any of you say that? None of you. Okay. By a show of fingers, who would say that Donald Trump is an insurrectionist? Any of you say he's an insurrectionist? None of you. So President Biden has given speeches claiming that Donald Trump is a threat to American democracy, including speeches here in Pennsylvania. By a show of fingers, who thinks that that's an exaggeration? When Biden says that Trump is a threat to American democracy, who would say that that's an exaggeration on Biden's part? 6 of you. Okay. So last year, former President Trump made the following remarks at a conference of conservatives, and this has been broadcast widely. He said, quote, "I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution," unquote. By a show of fingers, who is concerned that Trump announced that he is running a campaign of retribution?
Oh, I think he can be.
You're concerned about that he would run a campaign of retribution.
Sure. I mean, it's the way he talks.
Okay, but I'm asking about the idea that the campaign is going to be about retribution. So you're concerned about that, Michelle?
I don't know if I'm necessarily concerned about it, but I believe it to be true.
Okay, yeah. Well, he said that that's what he's aiming to do. So my question is whether anybody's concerned.
I agree with it.
You agree that he's going to do it.
Yes.
Okay, but you don't. But it doesn't concern you that he said this.
Not necessarily.
Okay, got it. So explain this to me. Christine, explain this to me. A presidential candidate claims he's going to run a campaign of retribution. That's not troubling to you?
No,
Why
this
not?
is what he does. This is what he does. He just rallies his troops. The people that love him, this just fires them up. The rest of us just listen to him, and honestly, it's kind of almost comical.
Okay. All right. Jessica, he's going to run a campaign of retribution. That's not troubling to you?
Honestly, I don't even, what does that mean? I don't really know.
He's going to go after the people who wronged him.
Okay, that's what I thought. Then, yeah, I think he was just getting people going, honestly. He just, yeah.
Okay, so way to rile up the base, basically?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. I know he does. Wow.
All right. And do you see it that way too?
Yeah. Yeah.